she's ranking up and who she isn't. Everyone just needs to chill the fuck out for like a day or so that this shit can be sorted and then I can get back into my fucking position. Yeah, no, you're not supposed to have disobeying an officer in there. Whoever's done that is doing it incorrectly. Not me. No, it needs to be changed because they cannot stop spraying. They can't. They physically cannot. Yeah, no, there should be no disobeying police officer in there because you cannot. They physically can't stop, so that's just not fair. And I say that every single time I see it happening. I say that shouldn't be in there because they cannot stop. Whenever I'm in a training for arrest training, it's said. No other officers with a gun around him. There was no other officers with him. In the situation when it was Taser v. gun, there was no other officers with a gun.
Yeah, because in that situation, Kieran was around me, so therefore it was a gang member versus me, so obviously Kieran was a gun.
One second. Did Kieran have a gun? Did Kieran have the same level gun as the person with the AK?
I don't know.
So the only time you can use a taser against a gun is if, per se, you're the criminal. I have my taser. You have your gun out. They both have their guns out. No. So you cannot taser someone with if they have an AK and you have no one with the same level gun as the person with it. Like if you don't have a secondary person with the AK, you can't do that because you're not meeting it with the same power. Just like you can't use a pistol against an AK, you're not meeting it with the power.
Doesn't need to be met with the same power. It's fair role play at the end of the day.
You will get a rep, which is what you're going to get for tasering that person while they were holding their AK because you did not meet them with the same amount of force.
Doesn't need to be met with the same amount of force if it's not a favorable point.
Charlie, I've been here for almost a whole year. I'm like the PD book of rules. I know. Because I almost got a rep for it. But I missed the person I was trying to tase. So I didn't. And my fellow officers stopped me before I continued going to tase that person. Because they did not have their guns out.
In the academy, what we say is because you've only got taser, if you're getting shot at and you can't defend yourself, unfortunately, you just have to, and it sounds harsh when you say it, but this is what was told to me. If you can't get to safety, then unfortunately, you just die. You just have to die, unfortunately, because you can't engage taser versus gun.
No,
Why
I swear what we are telling you is the rules. If you want to take and ask Ma'am Betty, you can, but these are the words we're telling you directly out of her mouth. And every other PD and admin's mouth that we have asked. Yeah, so if Kieran had his AK out and he was actively in that situation, then you would have totally been able to taser him, but Kieran wasn't actively in the situation. He was sitting in the car without his gun, so therefore the tasering is unvalid because there's not an officer there meeting the weapon with the same level of.
Charlie, what they're likely to do is Betty or one of the other higher ups, whoever's going to look at, probably request your body cam. So what I'll do is I'll get that ready and I have a look from how it was, because sometimes it's hard to kind of remember how things were. But when you watch it back, you see things that you might not have actually seen when you were there. At least you can then maybe try and put a case together to defend yourself if you think you're in the right. But if J-Dog's got CCTV from the person, then obviously that's what's going to be judged if you can't find your stuff. Can you not see a game time on it, Jay?
There's no timestamp on it, it's not valid. Yeah, that's not valid at all. It needs to have a timestamp for it to be proper evidence and to make sure it's not 7 days old or longer.
The thing of it is, though, you haven't been in PD 7 days.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it still needs a timestamp to show.
No, but what you can do is with somebody who's making a complaint, they can request your body cam footage regardless. So your body cam footage and Kieran's body cam footage will be used. If there's a complaint, sir, doesn't matter if it's got a timestamp on because we know it was today. So they fraud the time. No, sir, it doesn't because they can request your body cam. You have shot somebody with a taser when you shouldn't have, so your body cam will be pulled in.
Yeah, but the timestamp's necessary for TPK. Yeah, but it still needs a timestamp. So trust me, I'm well aware of the one state rules and every single procedure known to man. So I'm well
Sir,
aware
you're
of
saying that, but you've just broken a rule.
Sorry, I'm trying to speak. I wasn't being rude, it's just speaking. So if it doesn't have a timestamp, it's not valid evidence according to the one state rules. Well, not rules, but if it doesn't have a timestamp, it's not valid. Or to
Sir, but with the same respect, if you're well aware of the rules, you've just broken them. So, you know, that will have to be investigated by higher up. That'd be about 11:15 if it's by minute like it is on real time.
yeah, I'll find out. Wait, let me just look.
Do you know, I'm just going to say this. I don't know why they think they've got such big voices, these new recruits recently. It's just a headache. Yeah, if it's active fire, we're not allowed to get involved, are we? Because they can't stop. I was trained to do a 3.2, 3.1, 3.2, and damage to self property. That's how I was trained. Yeah, but when they start running away, they're not listening. They're not listening.
You're very difficult to hear again, Hunter.
Oh my god, this fucking iPad.
There you go. That's better.
So yeah, I was told it's obviously damage to state property. And then if they start to run, so if they've actually finished the spray, it's a 3.1 and 3.2 because you're then telling them to stop, and they're resisting, aren't they?
Complaints about
I think that needs really looking at them because I can remember when I was trained, I was told to put 3.1, 3.2, and 2.1 damage to state property. So I think the reason why, because when you put your 3 macros up, please stop, stop, last warning, taser, taser, they're still carrying on because they can't stop, but they are still carrying on. So it's difficult, isn't it? Did you say it was or wasn't? Yeah, so I've only been here 8 weeks, and that's how I was trained. Is he going to get a rep? Is he XPD?
maybe he is.
He seems to, yeah, he was like he knows all the rules, but he's breaking them, isn't he? It's weird. Right, I'm going to head. I've got work tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm going to drive over to my apartment, actually.
Ba, 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 ba. Ba-da, ba, ba, ba. Ba-da, ba, ba, ba. Hey, Wheezy, what's going on? No worries, bro. What's going on, son? What's the vibe? Quiet night, silent night, holy night? Yeah, I was there with you last time, lad. What you eat? Like back in February? So yeah, so that's what Barry was saying there, and I could hear what he was saying, but only if, like, for example, the guy is still spraying. But then, what, you can't stop a spray realistically. Like, you can't stop it because the moment you do that in a circle, like, okay, like it's done. I mean, the only way you could get disobeying is if you started to run. That's the only way. That's how I view it. I would say it just depends on the situation. You know what I mean? It just, like, if there's like like any situation, like in any situation, I would see if it's actually applicable. You know what I mean? Because, like, there might be a situation where it is, and then there's definitely situations where it isn't. It just depends on what's going on. In that specific situation, yeah, I would think so. Yeah, but it depends because fucking sometimes when people are given bios, like, they they have their own view on it. So it's like there's some violations where, me personally, I wouldn't just use them. It just depends on the situation. But for others, they would use it. But I would say it's not much of like a discrepancy because with the 3.2 ones, they're usually 5 minutes each. So if it was one of, like, the criminal ones, then I'd be more concerned because, like, that's the highest time we could give them. If it's the 5 minute ones, like, I try and fix it, but I put negative on it because the main thing that I've been seeing is that people putting in wrong bios. So when I check the bios on people, like, putting like a 2.9, like a 1.14, and I'm like, what is this? I mean, which officer was it that arrested someone and put that here? Speak of the devil, I mean, like, I would look to who taught him, which is, like, probably the boot camp leaders, isn't it?
I can't remember actually. To be, I was definitely told to do a 3.2 for a spraying. that's why I've always done it that way. But I was never told about this. This is what's making me a little bit upset because, you know, I always do things the correct way. But if I'd
Yeah.
been trained that way, you know, if you look at my arrest records, I never really do sprays because, you know, they're a bit
Hey, you're a good lad.
hostile. They're a bit hostile, these sprays, because either they tase you or they shoot you or they just drive off. You can never catch them in the act. I mean, I've never been in the gang life. I've literally just done the low level, went straight into PD. So I didn't really do gang life or
The straight and narrow.
much. Yeah. Well, I didn't have Mam or you train me. It would have been someone else.
It would have been Pixie and Harlan, to be fair, bro. Rap.
See, do you know what I was trying to do? I was trying to be, you know, the rank that I am. I took it upon myself to go and show him, you know, things to look for in the city, you, you know, things like that. And obviously things went wrong. That was a very hostile sort of scene, RP scene at the time.
But also, the thing is, if you- wasn't he there with Kieran, though?
But sir, you've got to remember on that scene, on RP scene, the girl that I had in handcuffs was telling her gang members to shoot all of us. So obviously, my main point was to run and get her in the car. I hadn't seen where Master Charlie had gone at that time because obviously there was so many.
Fucking hell. Yeah, it's a sticky one. It's a sticky one because, like, I've spoken about this with Rico in depth, like really in depth, and like he was telling me that like if it's a 2v1 where like only one person, like the enemy side is holding a gun, yeah, you could tase them, but it depends. For example, if their back is to you or their side is to you, and then there's like an opening there, then you can use your taser. But if they're shooting like right at you and every single bullet is hitting you and you cheese like in that moment, and you can't do that. Like he has to be like shooting away, or like he's shooting at you, and then you somehow manage to do like a loop-de-loop and come from behind. Then you could somewhat get away with it, because then it's under the sense of he takes the guy back, well, at his back. But it's such like a weird opening that you can't really.
I mean, I didn't see Master Charlie get shot at. But obviously, in my video, the girl that I arrested said, "You left a lower rank being shot. How stupid can you be?" So the whole RP scene was absolutely, you know, balls ache. Sorry about the bad language, but it was. She was deliberately looking for something.
Yeah, it's a sticky one, man, because like I would say that's definitely become an NRP scene, but when things become an NRP scene, it becomes a bit of a gray area when you're trying to like figure out what's allowed and what's not allowed. Because like I remember last time I was in PD, I was off duty, and I remember Letitia at the time, she was in PD as well with Bailey, and so both of them were involved with the NRP scene, and they were shooting someone in the water. And I fell into the water randomly, and they shot me. But because Bailey wasn't shown in the video, but he was there, but Letitia was, she was wrapped for it, because the admin said it was an NRP scene, and for them to act and shoot differently or do something on top of the NRP scene after it would also classify it like breaking like a bio lesson, like you're doing NRP role. Then they would match it under if you were brandishing your weapon, shooting it, or some shit like that. I'm also. Is he looking at one rep, or is it like two?
I mean, I am speaking
Hopefully
to
it's
Miss
just one.
Mamaria right now on Discord, just because it has upset me slightly. So I'm waiting for her to review all the body cam to see if, you know, I'd done anything wrong in that RP scene.
Now you're a good lad here, and I know Charlie's a good lad as well, and he wants to do well. So at the end of the day, regardless of what happens, I know both of you are good fellas.
The thing is, Charlie's a DFG on another server, and you know, we had a conversation earlier, and he's quite high up in other fractions, so he does know the police procedure. But I think that scene was just out of control, and you know,
Yeah.
And I think it was just a misjudgment and a panic.
Definitely, man.
Yeah, those two know each other, because I've just reviewed my body cam, and yeah, I heard them know each other on the same level, so they know each other.
Talk about a twist. Me, that's wild. But
See, the whole
listen, I
RP
wouldn't even get
a mess.
it was, but I can't lie. I would even like put anything against Kieran for driving away in that situation. Because like, let's be real, in those tight, sticky situations, bro, you just move it on your feet. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't look negatively at it. I would just say like, shit happens. At the end of the day, if we can reflect upon it and then see what we can do better, then that's the best thing we can do. You know.
Yeah. I mean, I'll take whatever response. If I get in trouble, I get in trouble. At the end of the day, that scene was near impossible to actually deal with, and the fact that she instructed her gang members to shoot us to resist that arrest, she's actually breaking the server rules anyway. Because you can't ask another person to shoot the police down to get away from the scene.
I won't get out of hand. I think generally, just on like an odd situation, because if you look at the stats, realistically, Kieran, it's 99.9% sweet. But I mean, Charlie just joined, even though he's DFG another server. I would just look at it as like, all right, just come in. And I'll just look at it like face value, which is he's still a low rank. So there is leeway there, and obviously with guidance, he'll be sweet.
But how I see it is, who is training everyone to allow these things to happen? Because obviously, if we're trained correctly, none of these things would be happening.
True. And also, I just don't want to rush.
You're right there. You're right, J-Dog. So, had a mad busy night. Yeah. What was it you wanted to ask? No. So the game doesn't actually have it doesn't have the capability for you to midway through a spray stop. So yeah, you wouldn't be able to jail them for disobeying an officer. You'd only be able to jail them for doing a spray. Okay, yeah. Nah, yeah, going forward, just issue the violation for the spray, but not for so they actually can't stop. There's no in-game capability for them to be able to do that. And if they do, there is a way that you can stop doing a spray halfway, but that also comes under an abuse one. It's an actual glitch that we punish for. So, yeah. What's that for? Sorry. It all depends. It depends on. So, was it if it's in a green zone, then you guys are allowed to taser versus an AK in a green zone. That's absolutely fine. Give me a second. I'll have a little look on PD rules. Just bear with me. I'm not too sure. What would it be? What would it be? PD. 2 seconds. Let me have a look.
It was good to see Big Man Wade, Big Boss. At Honcho. Between me and you, boys.
For some reason, yeah, for some reason I can't actually see your PD rules. I don't know why. They're not coming up for me. You know, when it comes up like PD1, PD2, PD3, all of that, it's not coming up for me for some reason.
On the Discord.
Yeah, on the Discord, I don't know why.
Sir, can I ask a question, Wade?
Yeah, of course.
So if I accidentally put a wrong violation onto someone's passport, and a higher up sees that, am I allowed to ask for a de-arrest, or how can I amend that violation without upsetting the civilian at the time? Because obviously what I'd have done was a genuine mistake, because I'd put a different disobeying a police officer earlier on before arriving at the police station.
So in that situation, personally, what I would do is what you can do is you can put them in jail for, you know, because obviously they've got the violation there, and if you guys can't remove it, then you know we'd have to. So what you do in that situation is, this is what I wouldn't mind doing anyway. So obviously jail them, and then just say to them, look, what I'm explaining this to you. I'm going to get admin here. I'm going to get them to remove your jail, and then I'm going to add the violations that I was meant to give you back on. We done that earlier. Someone put violations on, and there was like a glitch where they ended up getting 2 hours as opposed to the 40 minutes for the 2 violations. We'll do that. If I'm on, I'll happily do that. So just call admin and just say, you know, I've accidentally put this violation on. Is there any chance you'd be able to unjail them? Meet me at the front, and then I can arrest this player again and add the correct violations and all that kind of stuff.
See, this is what's a little bit wrong, because no one's actually told any of our officers this way of doing it. So obviously we still go through that arrest procedure, and then we obviously get into trouble, or, you know, things like that.
Yeah, so in situations like that, because obviously your body comes rolling 24s. So situations like that, what you want to do, obviously, when say for example, if you issued a wrong violation, you know, admin, explain the situation, say I've accidentally put this violation on. Can we sort the situation out? And what you can then do is obviously make your higher ups aware of the situation and say, look, I accidentally done this. I called admin, blah, 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 whether it be myself, Rico, Joker, anyone like that. And then, yeah, just make sure that you clip the screen recording of you speaking to admin as well, so that you've got that there for your.
Because a higher up did see it at the time, but didn't intervene, and that's the bit that I'm a little bit cross with, because no one's given clear instructions on how to fix those issues. If I'd been told to call an admin, the situation would have de-escalated a lot more, but I wasn't given that advice, and I had to still carry on with the arrest, if that makes sense, sir.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, I understand.
You know, and I find that a little bit unfair, because, you know, that's why we have higher ups to sort of try to intervene, especially when they saw that happen. They could have said, actually, you know, let's get an admin, but it didn't happen, because I wasn't aware of any of this. Yeah, I respect that, but that's then. That's later. That's not then. Do you know what I mean? I think we need to have this. I think we need to have this a little bit more honesty with it in the training, sir, because I would have known exactly what to do, but I didn't know at the time, and I just looked stupid. I've caused people got involved when it shouldn't have done. Because I thought disobeying an officer was any command that a PD officer directly say, like a macros, or you say it verbally saying, please step away from the car, and they're not following instructions from, a PD officer. See, at the time, like I said to you earlier, sir, obviously, the way I've been trained, I'd automatically put the 3.2, whatever it was, because that's the way I was trained. So I knew nothing different. Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm not trying to get out of what I've done, but when I've looked at the video this evening and sent it to Mum, Ariel, it's not. It's just a lot worse. It should have just de-escalated at that time. And also when reviewing my my body cam, I used the correct macros from the minute I arrested her to the very end. The only issue was I put the 2.8 or whatever it was for disobeying police officer onto a violation instead of the two that should have been originally to a spray painting. Because technically, I could have actually got away with the 3.2 for disobeying police officer because she was quite rude to me in the police car anyway. But I only noticed that after reviewing my body cam. Obviously, I knew at the time she said it, but it didn't process properly because obviously the whole situation was quite hostile. But it was actually after reviewing it, it was like, actually, yeah, she should have actually had that because she was just insulting and sort of, quite rude.
So that would be a different violation. It wouldn't be a 3.2. It would be, I think it's a 2 point.
It's insulting a police officer.
Yeah, what is it here? I'm blinded. 2.6. Yeah, so
Yes,
that
I know.
violation wouldn't have applied even in that situation, unfortunately. You know, I think there's been so many that have been trained in this way, it would be better if we did a full faction meeting instead of just letting the generals of the faction of that lead know.
Yeah, I did. I heard that, sir. Okay, that's absolutely fine then. I've probably learnt a lot from this, but I'll just wait until either Mum Betty or I can't speak today, Aria has a look at it, because I've obviously sent it to her. I can't sleep until she looks at it.
So,
Oh, no,
what
no.
was the explain the
We are
situation to
talking.
me,
We
and
are
I can
talking.
explain to you what the punishment is going to be, and if there is or isn't going to be a punishment. Yeah, that's gonna be a reprimand. Yeah, and a warning. If not further, because he wasn't meeting the weapon with the same level of force. He broke. He broke roleplay.
But then I think I probably broke role play, because obviously I let a rank defend by himself without realizing, because the prisoner at the time, she was instructing her gang members to shoot the PD officers.
No, so if you had a prisoner in the vehicle and it was a tense situation and they were threatening to kill you and he wasn't listening and getting back in the vehicle, and you tried to get him back in the vehicle, or at least tell him to get back in the vehicle, and he didn't, and then you left, it's fine. That's not your fault. You had to leave the situation, or you and your arrest were going to not be, you would have died and it wouldn't have been arrested anymore. So
Yeah, because
yeah, so okay, wait, so you drove off as soon as he got to the car?
I don't know without actually looking at that specific part on my body cam, because I've had to review about 8 minutes of body cam today to see exactly what
Okay,
went
so
wrong.
look at that part quickly and tell me whether or not he was close enough to the vehicle. And okay, no, was it obvious, J-Dog, in the video that he was trying to get back into the vehicle?
No, he from just
Like, if we're looking from Kieran's point of view, did he even see him trying to get back into the vehicle after he told him to get back into the vehicle?
no. Charlie was standing by the wall, and I had already was heading towards my PD car. So at that angle, I did not see where Charlie had gone. After saying, "Charlie, get back into the car," he was already shot in that meantime.
So you said to Charlie, get in the vehicle, and Charlie didn't get into the car.
No, because he was already by the wall, and I think at that time he had shot. And the lady that I had in custody, she said, "You let a lower rank die. How bad is that?"
Okay, so it's not your fault if you told him to get into the vehicle because you had an arrest and he didn't listen. Because if I was with anyone else, I would have left them at VM and expected them to wait in the green zone until I got back from putting my arrest in jail. Because my arrest takes priority, and so does my life.
See, yeah, but yours. Can we stop sharing lots of body cam around, because this is just getting absolutely ridiculous now? Yeah, and you also know that criminals can cut videos to manipulate the scene of what they want the admins to see. We all know that.
The fugitive in the vehicle, sorry, is that the person who sent over the body cam? Okay, so she should have absolutely every information that we need on Kieran's end. Basically, if you didn't tell him to get back into the vehicle and that you were leaving, that's gonna be that's an issue for leaving behind your team, and that'll be a discussion with Betty and Charlotte and Miss Aria. But if you told him, "Hey, I got this arrest. We got to go now. Let's go get in the vehicle," it is no longer on your plate nor your responsibility to go further and run up to him and baby him and try to get him into that vehicle with your arrest. Your main priority is getting out of there with your arrest. If your member is not listening.
See, the reason why we've got into this situation today is because the person that I arrested, she's made a complaint that I didn't use the correct macros throughout the scene, and I had obviously mixed up my bios, which obviously when you spawned in on your shift, you heard that little bit.
Yeah. Okay, so when you did that mix up with the violations, did you apply the incorrect violation, or did you just put the incorrect macro up?
No, so what happened was, in the car with the criminal, I had already put the disobeying a police officer onto my type of chat or type write a message. And obviously when I got back to the scene when it was safe to do so, I added the correct violations to the detainee. But obviously the 3 macros I put up for the violations, I accidentally
I'll tell you right now, I don't care what was put on the screen, as long as at the end of the day, the correct violations were put on the screen and applied to the prisoner.
This is revenge.
1 second. So, when you went to jail her, did you put the 3.2 on, or did you leave it out?
No, I accidentally had put that on, and this is what the reason is for the complaint,
Yeah,
but-
so that's gonna be the one that bites you in the arse, because that's you've now given them a violation that they haven't what do you call that, warranted. They haven't done something to receive that.
But
I
like
can't
I said-
exactly remember what the punishment is for that. What is the punishment for that, Mr. P?
From what?
But like I've said to everyone
I'm assuming
today,
that she's already out of jail and used a jail card and is just
She
doing
used-
this to run amok.
yeah, she used the jail card straight away, ma'am. After instructions
Yeah.
by ma'am.
So basically,
After instructions.
she's doing this to get your job, so she's not gonna let this rest. So I think honestly, the worst that he could get for that, the absolute worst, is a reprimand.
She told me at the end of the scene after she got out of jail, I will get you a reprimand. So she'd already made that threat. And obviously, Mam Pixie just told her to use a jail card. But obviously, I've already said to Sir J Dog that, you know, Mam Pixie saw me put the incorrect violation on there, and no one had stepped in and said, actually, Jeffel, you know, this is what we could have done to amend this.
Yeah, well, that's because Miss Pixie is also one of the officers training people to put that 3.2 on.
So at the end of the day, this is actually this training. And yeah, I put my hands up for what I've done is wrong, but I would have easily rectified this if I was given an opportunity, or if a higher up at the time would have said, do you know what, Cheerful?
No. This could have been easily solved if you were just trained properly. It's not your fault.
And this is what I'm trying to explain. And this is why I've got upset tonight about it, because at the end of the day, I don't do things, you know, that I go,
So,
okay,
when it comes to it, and when you're called up into the office, just say plain and simple, hey, I thought that that's what I was supposed to do because that's how I was trained. And if they want to question it, just give them the body cam from your training.
So it was pointed out. It was pointed out, sir, by the criminal at the time that I put that 3.2 on. Obviously, I apologised, and that's when Mam Pixie stepped in. And in my opinion, it made the situation a lot worse, because obviously, then the criminal was picking at everything else I'd done wrong.
Okay, guys, instead of this grim-ass topic, possibly you're getting a reprimand, possibly not. Plead boy who bleeds on the floor because he was instructed the wrong way. Let's leave this conversation for now because it fucking sucks, and let's go do a wanted.
Yeah.